The galaxy had never seen a crisis like this. Human and Xyrelian fleets hovered at the edge of a barren star system, weapons primed, and tension crackling in the void. Every report from the front lines carried more bad news than the last. Skirmishes erupted over asteroid belts and derelict colonies, leaving ships crippled and lives lost. Diplomats scrambled to negotiate, but every conversation ended with threats. Earth was teetering on the edge of all-out war, and for the first time in centuries, humanity's future seemed fragile. Commander Alex Wren leaned over the viewport of the flagship Dauntless, watching the dim glow of distant stars. He had served humanity for nearly 20 years, leading missions in deep space, negotiating with hostile species, and sometimes simply surviving. Yet this crisis felt different. He knew the Xyrelian Empire was not just powerful, it was cunning, advanced, and relentless. Negotiating with them required not only skill but creativity. And the clock was ticking. The intercom beeped, and the calm, measured voice of Admiral Yates filled the cabin. "Commander Wren, we have a special assignment. Report to the council chamber immediately." Alex straightened, his expression steady. "Understood, Admiral." He followed the narrow corridor through the ship, past sailors moving quickly, tension evident in every step. The council chamber was already crowded. Earth's top military and diplomatic officials were present, alongside representatives from neutral systems. At the center stood a figure Alex had heard about but never met in person, a human diplomat named Serena Kwan, known for her unorthodox strategies. "Commander Wren," Serena began without preamble, her eyes scanning him sharply. "We're proposing a solution that may seem unusual, but it could stop the war." Alex raised an eyebrow, already wary. "I've heard many solutions, Ms. Kwan. Unusual solutions are often dangerous." She did not flinch. "This one involves marriage." Alex froze for a fraction of a second, then blinked. "Marriage? With whom?" His mind raced. This was not the usual battlefield strategy or negotiation tactic he was accustomed to. "Princess Leora," she replied, her tone calm but firm. "Heir of the Xyrelian Empire. We propose a ceremonial union, human and Xyrelian, to symbolize peace. If the Empire sees the alliance as legitimate, it may prevent war." Alex felt a chill. The idea was unprecedented. Marriages had often been used in human history as political tools, but here, in the far reaches of space, it was unthinkable. And yet the thought of stopping the war, of saving thousands, possibly millions of lives, made his heart race. "I'm not sure I understand the logic," Alex said carefully. "Even if the princess agrees, can a marriage truly prevent an entire civilization from waging war? And what about consent? We cannot force her." Serena nodded. "You are correct, this must be voluntary. But preliminary discussions indicate that Princess Leora is willing to participate. She understands the stakes. This is about survival, Commander, not tradition." Alex exhaled slowly. His mind weighed options, probabilities, and risks. It was absurd, dangerous, and yet it was the only chance humanity had. "Very well," he said at last. "I will meet her. But I must be honest. This will not be easy." The meeting was arranged on a neutral space station orbiting a cold gray planet, far from both Earth and Xyrelian territories. Alex arrived with a small escort, his uniform crisp, his demeanor calm. The station's grand hall was vast, with polished metal walls that reflected the distant starlight. At the center, standing tall and poised, was Princess Leora. She was unlike any being Alex had ever seen, not merely because of her alien features, but because of the quiet strength that radiated from her. "Commander Wren," she said, her voice musical yet firm, "I understand why you are here, and I understand the burden this places on you." Alex inclined his head. "Princess Leora, I am here because I wish to prevent war. If this union can achieve that, then I am willing to proceed." She studied him for a long moment. "It is unusual," she said finally. "I have been trained for diplomacy, strategy, and leadership, but marriage is a deeply personal act. Yet the Empire's survival, and yours, depends on cooperation. I will agree under one condition. The marriage must remain ceremonial until a certain ritual is performed. Alex blinked. A ritual? Yes, she said, her eyes darkening slightly. It is a Xyrelian tradition, linked to the royal bloodline. Without it, the union is legally recognized, but certain powers and protections cannot be activated. I cannot allow it otherwise, not even for peace. He nodded slowly. I understand. We will respect your customs. There was a flicker of relief in him, but also a growing curiosity. He wanted to understand her world, her people, and the traditions that had shaped a civilization so advanced it challenged humanity on every level. The wedding ceremony was brief yet solemn. Human and Xyrelian officials observed, cameras capturing the moment for posterity. The exchange of vows was formal, almost ritualistic, but beneath it lay a tension that only Alex could sense. This was more than a ceremony. It was a promise, a fragile thread holding back a storm. Afterward, Alex expected a private moment with Leora, a chance to discuss the next steps. But she held up her hand, serene yet unyielding. Commander, I cannot proceed further tonight. The ritual must come first. Our union is official, yes, but intimate contact is forbidden. It is the law of my people and I will not bend it. Alex swallowed, frustration flickering in his chest. He had imagined the simplicity of marriage as a tool for diplomacy, but now he realized it was far more complex. He had to respect her wishes, but the tension between duty and personal desire gnawed at him. Still, he recognized the truth in her words. Respect and trust must come first if their alliance were to succeed. Very well, he said, forcing calm into his voice. We will wait for the ritual. Your customs are clear, and I will honor them. Leora inclined her head. Thank you, Commander. Your patience is rare among your kind. Her eyes softened for a brief moment, and Alex sensed that beneath her formality lay a human-like understanding, a recognition of sacrifice and responsibility. As the days passed, Alex and Leora worked together to prepare for negotiations, strategies, and the coming challenges. They were a symbol now, not just of peace, but of hope. Their presence reminded soldiers on both sides that the war could be avoided, that there was a chance for unity even among enemies. Despite the restrictions, Alex found himself learning more about her. Leora was intelligent, perceptive, and pragmatic. Yet beneath her formal exterior was a being who carried the weight of her people's expectations and history. She spoke of her childhood, the loss of siblings to previous conflicts, and the endless burden of leadership. Alex shared tales of Earth's struggles, its flaws and its triumphs. Slowly, a connection began to form. Not yet love, but mutual respect and cautious trust. But danger was never far away. Even as they prepared for the ceremonial journey to Xyrelia, intelligence reports indicated that factions within the Xyrelian Empire were opposed to the alliance. Radical generals, distrustful nobles, and saboteurs plotted in shadows, seeking to derail the fragile peace. And on Earth, voices clamored for war, unwilling to rely on a union they barely understood. Every day became a balancing act between diplomacy, strategy, and survival. One evening, aboard the observation deck of the station, Alex and Leora watched a distant star flare. Silence stretched between them, comfortable yet tense. Alex finally spoke, his voice low. Princess, I know this is difficult. I know you have your duties and your traditions. But I want you to know I am not here merely as a symbol. I am here because I want to see peace and I want to see our people survive. I will follow your lead. Leora turned to him, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she said softly, Commander Wren, survival is only half of it. Leadership is not just about living. It is about knowing when to hold back, when to act, and when to trust. You have already shown restraint tonight. That is rare. Alex felt a flicker of something he could not name. Pride, relief, perhaps both. He understood now that their partnership would require more than courage. It would require patience, understanding, and the ability to act wisely under impossible pressure. The first night of their union passed without incident. There was no ceremony beyond the official wedding, no personal fulfillment beyond shared responsibility, and yet in that restraint, a foundation was quietly laid, a foundation that might hold against the storm coming from both sides of the galaxy. Tomorrow, they would face new challenges. They would negotiate, strategize, and uncover threats that lurked in darkness. But tonight they had survived the first test. Tonight they had begun to understand each other, and perhaps, just perhaps, they had taken the first step toward a peace that had seemed impossible only days before. The galaxy outside the viewport shimmered with silent promise. Stars stretched across the void, indifferent yet beautiful, as if watching the fragile human-led alliance and daring it to succeed. And in that vastness, Alex and Leora stood side by side, bound by duty, respect, and the unspoken hope that together they might stop a war before it consumed them all. The days after the wedding passed in a blur of meetings, briefings, and strategy sessions. Commander Alex Wren found himself working alongside Princess Leora more closely than he had expected. Their union was official, yet the personal distance between them remained. Her Xyrelian custom forbade intimacy until a sacred ritual could be completed. Despite that, Alex discovered that their partnership carried a different kind of connection, a merging of minds and purpose that felt more urgent than any bond he had known before. Leora moved with a quiet grace, her gestures precise, her words measured. Yet behind her composed exterior, Alex sensed the weight of responsibility she carried. Every decision she made, every glance she offered, seemed to consider not only her people but the precarious peace she had agreed to uphold. One afternoon, as they reviewed strategic reports in the command center of the station, Alex ventured to speak. "Princess," he began, keeping his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "I still do not fully understand the ritual you mentioned. Can you explain why it is so important?" Leora looked up from the star charts, her eyes calm yet piercing. "The ritual is not merely symbolic. It is tied to my bloodline and the psychic resonance it carries. When performed correctly, it strengthens the bond between two leaders and amplifies their capacity to negotiate, to sense the truth in others, and to guide their people with clarity. Without it, the marriage exists on paper only. It has no power to influence the Empire or its decision-making." Alex nodded slowly, absorbing the information. "So until the ritual, our alliance may appear strong, but it will not carry full weight." "Exactly," she said. "And it is not something that can be rushed. The alignment of certain Xyrelian energies is necessary, and they occur only in specific locations on our homeworld. That is where we must go." Their plan soon became clear. To perform the ritual, they would need to travel to Xyrelia itself, a journey fraught with danger. Intelligence reports indicated that factions opposed to the alliance were already moving in secret, plotting sabotage that could undo everything they had worked for. As Alex reviewed the threat assessments, he realized the full magnitude of their task. Not only would they have to navigate a long and perilous journey through space, but they would also have to anticipate betrayal from both sides. The Starship Resolute was prepared for the mission. Human and Xyrelian crews worked side by side, each wary of the other, yet each recognizing the importance of the task. Alex and Leora's partnership set the tone for the entire team. Where humans saw resourcefulness and quick thinking, Leora contributed strategy, intuition, and the subtle influence of her royal presence. Together, they created a balance of skill and insight that kept the crew focused and disciplined. The journey began smoothly, but the void of space is never truly safe. Hours into the trip, a warning blared from the navigation console. "Asteroid cluster ahead!" Course correction required immediately. Alex grabbed the controls, his hands steady. "Leora, can you anticipate their pattern? I need precise timing." Leora closed her eyes briefly, reaching inward in a way Alex had noticed but could not fully understand. She opened them, her gaze sharp. "Adjust to 32 degrees starboard, then thrust at full impulse. The cluster moves as a wave, not as isolated rocks." Alex followed her guidance, maneuvering the ship through a narrow path between tumbling asteroids. Sparks flew from minor collisions with small debris, but the Resolute emerged intact, The crew exhaled in unison, their relief palpable. Alex allowed himself a brief smile. "You're a remarkable navigator, Princess." She inclined her head. "Experience and instinct. And trust in those who act alongside me." Days turned into weeks as the ship approached Xyrelia. Along the way, they faced minor sabotage attempts, tampered navigation systems, encrypted messages warning them to turn back. But each was foiled by Alex's leadership and Leora's insight. The bond between them deepened, though still constrained by custom. They began to rely on each other not only for strategy, but for the quiet strength each brought to the mission. One evening, as Xyrelia's blue and violet rings came into view, Alex found Leora alone in the observation chamber. The planet below shimmered with light, vast cities spreading across continents, rivers of energy flowing through the landscape. He joined her quietly, neither speaking at first. Finally he said, "Princess, I can see why your people trust you. This world, it is unlike anything I have seen. Your civilization is advanced, yet there is a sense of balance. How do you manage to lead it all?" Leora's gaze did not leave the planet. "Leadership is never easy. Every decision carries consequences. My father taught me that a ruler must weigh not only the immediate outcome, but the ripple effect across generations. I have made mistakes, Commander, and I will make more. But I will not allow the Empire or your people to suffer unnecessarily." Alex nodded, feeling a growing admiration for her. "I believe you, Princess, and I want to help in any way I can. I may be human, but I am willing to learn, to follow your guidance, to act where necessary." She turned to him, a faint smile touching her lips. "Your courage is noted, Commander, and your patience, that is rarer than you know." Their moment was interrupted by an urgent alert. Sensors detected a Xyrelian cruiser approaching at high speed, one of the radical factions opposed to the Alliance. Alex and Leora moved quickly to the command deck where the crew prepared for a confrontation. The cruiser hailed them, its message clear and hostile. "Turn back or face consequences. The Empire does not approve your actions," Alex replied firmly, his voice carrying authority. "This is a diplomatic mission. We mean no harm. Stand down or be engaged." The cruiser fired first. Warning lights flashed as the Resolute took evasive maneuvers. Alex and Leora worked in perfect synchrony, him at the controls, her predicting the enemy's moves. Laser blasts and energy shields clashed in the void, a deadly ballet of strategy and reflex. Finally, with a combination of human ingenuity and Xyrelian precision, they disabled the enemy cruiser without destroying it. The opposing crew was captured unharmed, a testament to their commitment to minimize casualties. Leora turned to Alex, her expression a mix of relief and pride. "You handled that with skill and restraint. Your people would be lucky to have a leader like you." Alex allowed himself a small grin. "And your people are fortunate to have someone like you guiding them, Princess. It seems we both have much to learn from each other." As Xyrelia drew nearer, the reality of the ritual weighed heavily on them both. Leora explained that the ceremony required them to visit an ancient temple, one that resonated with psychic energy. Only there could the full power of their union be realized. She spoke of the temple's history, of past rulers who had used it to solidify alliances, and of the countless lives saved or lost, depending on the wisdom of those who entered. Alex listened intently. "So this is more than custom. It is strategy, protection, and guidance all in one." "Yes," Leora confirmed. "It is why I cannot allow our marriage to be fully consummated until the ritual is complete. The energies must be aligned." "It is not denial, it is responsibility," Alex understood. It was frustrating, yes, but he respected her reasoning. This was not about desire. It was about duty, trust, and survival. He realized that the true challenge was not merely the journey through space, but the journey of understanding each other and learning to act in harmony under pressure. On the night before landing, Alex found Leora again in the observation chamber. The rings of Xyrelia glimmered below, casting a serene light. "Princess," he said softly, "I know the ritual is tomorrow, but I want you to know I trust you completely. We may be bound by duty, but I am grateful to share this mission with you." Leora turned to him, her eyes reflecting the distant starlight. "And I trust you, Commander. That is not given lightly. Many leaders fail because they cannot trust those around them. You have earned it." For a brief moment, silence stretched between them, filled with understanding rather than words. They did not need to speak of personal feelings or desires. Their bond had already formed, built on respect, shared danger, and the unwavering goal of preventing war. The next morning, the Resolute entered Xyrelian orbit. The planet's surface shimmered with energy fields and sprawling cities, a civilization both alien and magnificent. Leora led the landing party with Alex at her side. Every step they took was watched, by loyalists, by spies, and by factions opposed to the Alliance. Yet neither wavered. They were leaders, bound by duty and guided by purpose. As they approached the ancient temple, its towering spires glowing with psychic energy, Alex felt a sense of awe. This was more than a mission. It was a turning point, not just for themselves but for the fate of two civilizations. "Tomorrow," Leora said, "we will perform the ritual. Only then can our union carry its full weight. Until that time we remain partners, strategists, and symbols of hope." Alex nodded. "I am ready, Princess. Together we will see this through." And with that they prepared for the challenges ahead, for tomorrow would not only test their courage and skill, but also the trust and respect they had built. A trust that might, if successful, prevent a war that threatened the galaxy. The Resolute descended through the atmosphere of Xyrelia, leaving streaks of light in its wake. Commander Alex Wren felt a mixture of excitement and tension. This was no ordinary mission anymore. They were on the doorstep of a civilization that had thrived for millennia, and the ritual that awaited him and Princess Leora could determine whether peace would take root or the galaxy would descend into war. The landing site was an ancient valley, surrounded by towering cliffs carved with symbols of past rulers. At the center stood the temple, its spires reaching toward the sky, pulsing with a soft violet light that seemed to hum in harmony with the planet itself. The Xyrelian crew moved with precision, securing the perimeter while Alex and Leora surveyed the path ahead. "Commander," Leora said quietly, "we must remain vigilant. The factions opposed to our alliance may attempt sabotage even here. The temple's energy is strong, but it cannot protect us from deliberate attack." Alex nodded. "We'll be ready. I have trained my crew for every scenario, and together, we will protect you." Their first steps into the valley were cautious. The air was thick with energy, and every shadow seemed to whisper with potential danger. As they approached the temple, a group of Xyrelian extremists emerged from the cliffs. Their weapons glinted and their intent was clear. They did not want this alliance to succeed. Alex stepped forward, positioning himself between Leora and the aggressors. "Stand down. We are on a diplomatic mission. Violence will only harm your people." The extremist hesitated, then fired. Energy blasts erupted, striking the rocky terrain. Alex commanded the crew with calm authority, directing defensive shields and countermeasures while Leora moved with grace and focus, predicting enemy patterns with uncanny accuracy. They worked as a single unit, human ingenuity complementing Xyrelian intuition. Within moments, the threat was neutralized, but the incident left no doubt. Their mission would be fraught with danger. Leora turned to Alex, her expression resolute. "This is only the beginning. We must remain alert until the ritual is complete." Alex understood. The journey had been perilous, but the temple demanded not only courage but trust, strategy, and respect for the unknown. The path inside was carved with intricate patterns, glowing faintly under the violet energy. Alex followed Leora carefully, noting how her presence seemed to guide him, almost as if she could sense the safest route before it appeared. Inside the temple, the air shimmered with psychic energy. The walls bore inscriptions of past alliances, warnings, and the wisdom of rulers long gone. Leora explained that the ritual required them to act in harmony, not just physically but mentally. Each participant had to align their intentions, their thoughts, and their trust. It was a test of character as much as tradition. Alex listened carefully, determined to understand every nuance. "So this is about more than ceremony," he said. "It is a test of leadership and collaboration." "Exactly," Leora replied. "And it is not just for us. It reflects on the people we represent. If we fail, it is not merely a personal failure. It could undermine the alliance and reignite war." The ceremony began at dawn, as the temple's energy responded to the first light of Xyrelia's twin suns. Alex and Leora followed the precise steps, each movement synchronized, each gesture mirrored. The psychic resonance began to hum around them, subtle at first, then growing stronger. It was a sensation Alex had never experienced, a quiet vibration in his mind, a connection that went beyond speech or sight. As the ritual progressed, a sudden alarm sounded. Sensors detected a small fleet approaching at high speed. Anti-alliance extremists from another region of Xyrelia. Alex and Leora exchanged a determined glance. The ritual could not be abandoned, but they could not ignore the approaching threat either. "Commander," Leora said, her voice steady, "we must split our focus. You lead the defense. I will maintain the ritual. We cannot falter now." Alex nodded. "Understood. Protect the temple and the ritual at all costs." He and a squadron of human and Xyrelian forces positioned themselves outside the temple, setting up shields and defensive formations. The extremists opened fire, their weapons powerful but predictable. Alex's tactical mind worked quickly, predicting their movements, coordinating counterattacks, and minimizing damage. Meanwhile, Leora remained inside, her focus unwavering, guiding the psychic energies with precision. Minutes stretched into hours, and the battle waged with intensity. Yet even under fire, Alex noticed subtle changes. Energy from the temple seemed to enhance their coordination. Humans and Xyrelians fought as one, their instincts sharpened by the resonance emanating from within. It was as if the planet itself supported those who sought peace. Finally, the extremist fleet retreated, their morale broken by the coordinated defense and the overwhelming psychic presence radiating from the temple. Alex and his team secured the perimeter, breathing heavily but victorious. He turned to Leora, who had emerged from the temple, her face serene despite the chaos. "You did it," he said, awe in his voice. "The ritual? It worked." Leora nodded, her eyes reflecting the twin suns. "Yes, our union is now fully recognized by Xyrelian law and tradition. And the energies. They will strengthen our negotiations. The Empire will recognize the alliance with full legitimacy." Alex felt a sense of relief, but also a deeper respect for her. This was no simple ceremony. It had tested every aspect of their skill, trust, and leadership. And they had succeeded not through force alone, but through cooperation, intelligence, and understanding. Over the following days, Alex and Leora prepared to return to the neutral station to announce the success of the ritual. Their journey was quieter now, the earlier tension replaced with mutual respect and a growing understanding. Though their marriage had yet to be intimate, the bond between them was undeniable. They relied on each other, trusted each other, and had proven that together they could face any threat. During a brief moment of calm, Alex asked, "Princess, do you ever fear that all of this, the ritual, the alliance, our mission, could fail?" Leora considered his question carefully. "Fear is part of leadership, Commander, but it cannot control us. What matters is action, preparation, and trust. We cannot allow fear to dictate our choices." Alex smiled faintly. "Then I suppose we are fortunate to have each other. Between your insight and my tactics, we make a good team." She smiled in return, a rare and genuine gesture. "Yes, and perhaps that is the most important lesson. Trust is as powerful as any weapon." As they neared the station, new intelligence arrived. A human diplomat reported that factions on Earth were skeptical of the alliance, with some demanding immediate military action. Alex and Leora realized that the success of the ritual was only part of the solution. They still needed to convince leaders on both sides that peace was possible, that the union was genuine, and that their combined efforts could prevent war. Alex briefed the crew. "Our mission is not yet complete. We have the ritual, yes, but the real work begins now. Diplomacy, strategy, and communication will test us in ways battle never could. We must remain vigilant," Leora added. "And we must demonstrate that our trust and cooperation are real. Actions speak louder than ceremonies." The station came into view, gleaming against the backdrop of Xyrelia's moons. As the Resolute docked, Alex and Leora prepared to step into the political arena once more. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and mistrust, yet each challenge had strengthened their partnership. They knew that the upcoming negotiations would be just as critical as any battle, and perhaps even more dangerous. That evening, Alex and Leora stood side by side in the observation chamber, watching the distant stars. "Tomorrow," Alex said softly, "we must convince everyone that this alliance can work. That peace is possible," Leora nodded. "And we will. Together." not just as symbols but as leaders who have proven that trust and cooperation can overcome fear and hatred. For the first time since the wedding, Alex felt a quiet confidence. The road ahead would be difficult, but he was no longer alone. He had Princess Leora by his side, a partner in strategy and diplomacy, and in the hope of a better future. Their bond was no longer just ceremonial. It was forged through trials, danger, and shared purpose. As the stars shimmered outside, the hum of Xyrelia's energy vibrating through the station, Alex realized that this mission was bigger than him. Bigger than Leora, bigger than either civilization. It was proof that even in a galaxy divided by war and suspicion, courage, patience, and trust could forge a path to peace. And in that moment, he knew that no challenge, no threat, and no act of violence could undo what they had begun. Together they were stronger than any enemy, wiser than any adversary, and ready to face the trials that awaited them. The galaxy was watching, and humanity, and Xyrelia, would soon see what true leadership, partnership, and trust could achieve. The docking bay of the neutral station was alive with activity. Human and Xyrelian officials moved with purpose, yet a tension lingered in the air, heavy enough to be felt in every corner. Commander Alex Wren and Princess Leora had returned from Xyrelia, with the ritual successfully completed, their union fully recognized by Xyrelian law. Yet recognition alone was not enough. They needed to convince both civilizations that the alliance was genuine, that peace was possible, and that the factions pushing for war were wrong. Alex adjusted his uniform and checked the briefing data once more. Every report showed signs of skepticism. Some human officials worried that the Xyrelian factions were playing a long game. Others questioned the loyalty of those who had aided them. On the Xyrelian side, whispers of doubt still lingered. Every word, every action, and every decision would be scrutinized. Leora stood beside him, calm yet resolute. "Commander," she said softly, "this is the final step. Our actions today will determine the fate of our people. You must trust in what we have accomplished." Alex nodded. "I do, and I trust you, Princess. Together we can show them that peace is not just a promise, it is achievable." The first meeting was with the Human Council. Leaders and military officials packed the chamber, their faces lined with worry and suspicion. Alex and Leora entered side by side, the weight of history pressing upon them. Cameras recorded the moment for posterity, ensuring that every gesture would be analyzed. Alex stepped forward first. "Leaders of Earth," he began, his voice firm but calm. "We have returned from Xyrelia, having completed the ritual that solidifies our union. This marriage is not merely symbolic. It is a demonstration of trust, respect, and shared purpose. The Xyrelian Empire recognizes our alliance, and the factions opposed to peace have been neutralized. War is not inevitable if we act wisely and with restraint." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some nodded in cautious agreement, while others remained skeptical. Leora stepped forward next, her presence commanding attention. "People of Earth," she said, her voice clear and melodic, "I am Princess Leora of the Xyrelian Empire. I have met with Commander Wren not as an enemy but as a partner. The ritual we performed strengthens our bond. Not only legally but spiritually and strategically, we seek peace. Those who wish to see war are few, but their influence is dangerous. We ask you to trust our union, as we have trusted each other." The council deliberated for hours, debating the merits of the alliance and the reliability of the couple before them. Alex and Leora did not intervene unnecessarily, allowing the evidence of their mission, the ritual, the defense against extremists, the safe return, to speak for itself. Slowly, opinion shifted. The demonstration of cooperation and trust, combined with the tangible success of their mission, began to sway even the most skeptical members. Next came the Xyrelian Council, where the challenge was even greater. Factions opposed to the marriage had not disappeared entirely. Some officials argued that humans could not be trusted, that the alliance was a trap, and that the ritual was meaningless without enforcement by Xyrelian authority. Alex and Leora entered the council chamber, aware that the eyes of the Empire were upon them. "Leaders of the Xyrelian Empire," Leora began, her voice steady. "Commander Wren has demonstrated loyalty, courage, and respect. He has proven that humanity is capable of cooperation, understanding, and sacrifice. The ritual we performed was not just a formality. It was a test of character, strategy, and trust. I ask you to recognize that peace is not weakness and that war will benefit no one. Alex added, I understand the skepticism. I am human, and humans have made mistakes in the past. But I am also a leader, a strategist, and a partner who has faced the dangers of this mission alongside Princess Leora. Our alliance is based on respect, mutual understanding, and the recognition that the lives of countless beings are at stake. Choose peace and we will prove it together. Silence followed. The council members exchanged glances, weighing the arguments, the evidence, and the actions of the couple before them. Slowly, one by one, votes were cast. The factions that had pushed for war found themselves outnumbered. The Union, reinforced by the ritual, had tipped the balance. For the first time in decades, a real chance for peace emerged between humanity and Xyrelia. As the council concluded, a sense of relief washed over the station. Alex and Leora exchanged a quiet glance, their partnership strengthened by the trials they had endured. They had faced threats, skepticism, and uncertainty, and had emerged not only victorious but respected by both civilizations. Later, in the observation chamber, they finally allowed themselves a moment of quiet. Stars shimmered outside the viewport, distant yet beautiful, indifferent to the struggles of mortals yet reflecting their triumph. You did it, Alex said softly. The councils accepted us. Peace is possible. Leora nodded, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Yes, but it is not just the councils. It is the example we set. Our cooperation, our trust, and our respect for each other are stronger than any weapons. That is what will guide our people forward. Alex smiled faintly. I have learned more from you than I ever imagined. About leadership, patience, and trust, and perhaps about courage in ways I did not expect. Leora allowed herself a small smile, and I have learned that even humans with their flaws and impulsiveness can achieve great things when they act with honor and determination. You have proven that, Commander Wren. For the first time since their ceremonial marriage, they felt the weight of their personal connection. The ritual had solidified their bond in ways that went beyond law and tradition. Trust and respect had grown into something deeper, a partnership forged in danger, understanding, and shared purpose. As they stepped away from the council chambers, they were approached by both human and Xyrelian leaders who offered congratulations, not merely for completing the mission, but for demonstrating the values that could sustain peace. Soldiers and diplomats alike recognized the example Alex and Leora had set, proving that leadership and cooperation could overcome prejudice, fear, and hostility. Later that evening, the two found themselves alone in a quiet corridor of the station. Alex hesitated before speaking. Princess, may I ask you something? Of course, Leora replied, her tone gentle. Now that the ritual is complete and the alliance is secure, are you willing to allow our union to be personal, as well as ceremonial? Leora's eyes softened, and for the first time Alex saw a glimpse of the vulnerability she had carefully hidden. Commander Wren, our marriage was never just ceremonial for me. It was a commitment to trust, to cooperation, and to protecting our people. Now that the ritual is complete, that commitment extends fully. You have earned my trust, my respect, and my partnership in every sense. Alex felt a surge of relief and joy. The long months of tension, restraint, and mutual respect had led to this moment. They did not need to rush. Their bond was solid, proven through trials and shared purpose. Together, they had not only secured peace but had demonstrated the true strength of humanity when combined with wisdom and cooperation. The days that followed were filled with celebration and preparation for the formal announcement of peace. Messages were sent across both civilizations, confirming the alliance, highlighting the success of the ritual, and warning that any attempts to disrupt the peace would be met with united resistance. In quiet moments, Alex and Leora reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From the initial shock of the proposed marriage, through the dangers of space travel, the sabotage attempts, the challenges of the temple, and the skepticism of their respective councils, they had endured together. Their partnership was no longer defined merely by duty or politics. It was strengthened by mutual understanding, shared courage, and the knowledge that they could rely on each other in any circumstance. Finally, the day came for the public announcement. Delegates, diplomats, and leaders from across human and Xyrelian territories gathered in the Grand Hall. Cameras recorded every moment, broadcasting the historic event to billions. Alex and Leora stood side by side, their presence a testament to what could be achieved when trust and cooperation overcame fear and prejudice. Leora spoke first. Today marks a new chapter in the history of our civilizations. This alliance is not born from weakness or compromise. It is born from the courage to trust, to respect, and to act together for the good of our people. May this union serve as a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope and cooperation can prevail. Alex continued, "We have faced danger, uncertainty, and doubt, but through collaboration, strategy, and trust, we have proven that peace is possible. Let this moment inspire all of us to act with courage, to seek understanding, and to value the lives of those we serve. Together, humans and Xyrilians can build a future free from war." The hall erupted in applause. Cheers echoed from both sides of the alliance. The extremists who had opposed the union were silenced, their influence diminished by the undeniable success of the mission. As the celebrations continued, Alex and Leora found a quiet moment together. "We did it," Alex said, his voice filled with satisfaction. "Yes," Leora replied, her hand brushing his. "And now our partnership is complete, not just for duty or politics, but as allies, as leaders, and as partners in every sense." The stars outside shimmered, distant yet welcoming. A galaxy that had